And welcome to MLB Tonight inside Studio 3. The curse of the Billy Goat is toast with Dan O'Dowd and
You just scared
Eric Burns. I'm Fran Charles. I don't know about you guys. I'm still exhausted. I mean, from all the action. Unbelievable Game 7 last night with the Cubs winning the World Series for the first time since 1908. Indians, great season, valiant effort. They were trying to get their first ring since 1948. Best Game 7 ever? Let's jump right to the hyperbole.
100%. And I guess we go back to 91 in the 1-0 game. But I'm not.
John Smoltz is a part of your colleague, Hall of Famer.
And I love John Smoltz, and he is a colleague of ours. But you think I'm going to compare a 1-0 game to the absolute chaos and madness that took place last night? That's what made it so beautiful, was that it was so imperfect, not to mention the fact, Dan, these are two teams. One that had not won the World Series in 108 years. The other one, 48 years. So to see them come down, not only, to Game 7, right? To extra innings in Game 7. Which is
64 awesome. Years, by the way, because it was 48 at the last time the Indians
1948,
won.
Yeah, it seemed like there were two heavyweights, and they had gone 15 rounds. You talk about exhaustion. Can you imagine how tired the players and the staff are today on these teams? Because that game had everything in it, friend. It had the ups and downs. As Burnsy talked about it, the good, and the bad. I think it has to rank right up there because of the history of these franchises and, quite honestly, the media coverage, which is so much different today and shows you so many different things that you never saw before, the emotions of the players through the course of the action. I think it was a great moment for baseball overall.
Not to mention the raw number of eyes that were on the game. I mean, the ratings were through the roof.
We talked about this in the meeting today. We're still relevant. I don't understand this. It usually does not happen. It's usually the last game of the World Series. Baseball just kind of goes by the wayside. More eyeballs on that game last night than ever before in the history of broadcasting baseball and television. And it's just, it's an awesome thing for the sport.
I think there was a reason for that. I think the players were so emotionally invested into their teammates, into the emotions of the game, that I think it captivated the audience and kind of drew them in a little bit. I know it did me anyway, trying to see, okay, what's going to happen next? And I think it's highlighted our game in the most perfect sense possible.
Yeah, great moments when Rizzo was mic'd up, just that he had no problems expressing the emotion. Chris Bryant getting that last ground ball, big smile on his face. I mean, unbelievable stuff. And a lot of Chicago Cubs fans are savoring the moment, and they will be for days. Even some youngsters as well here. We got some tweets out here. Hilarious reason or tardy list. It's cool this morning. Hashtag Cubs win. Yeah, all surrounding the Chicago Cubs and what they were able to do. It's great stuff. And this is Fran Spielman, the Chicago Sun-Times City Hall reporter, saying Mayor Rahm Emanuel confirms Cubs rally will be Friday. He says there's talk of dyeing River blue, but it's not nailed down yet. And, of course, MLB Network's going to have a full coverage of the parade. Mayor says the parade and rally will be worth the 100-year wait. And we already have our troops on the scene as we head now to Chicago, and we welcome in Lauren Shahadi. Lauren, what has the last 24 hours been like here for the fans in Chicago?
Fran, you think you're exhausted. I walked past the restaurant earlier in the day. There was a sign on the window, and on that sign it read, "We're really, really tired. Come back later," around 2 p.m. And I think that's the mentality with all of these Cubs fans around here. Emotionally, physically exhausted, but thrilled, loving life, joyful as well. We've been here since 9 a.m. You can see the marquee sign behind me, World Series champions, fans gathering, taking selfies, FaceTiming their friends. This is not lost on them, the magnitude of this. Every once in a while, a Go Cubs Go chant or a We Are the Champions. It's really been fun. It's like an honor to be here, really. And when the team arrived, the plane arrived, and then they bussed them to Wrigley Field, it was like 3, 4 in the morning. This crowd in full effect, Fran. Grown men crying, thanking the players, saying, "Thank you so much. This is something we could never have. How could we repay you?" So very emotional and joyful outside Wrigley.
Now, you weren't supposed to be in Chicago, but we ended up sending you there anyway here for the parade. So
Lucky me.
What are the plans like, the early plans so far?
Yeah, the parade was supposed to be Monday. That was the expectation. That's what the city of Chicago wanted. But the GM meetings start in Arizona on Monday. So what's a parade without the front office executives? Nothing. So the parade must go on. It will be tomorrow. It will start around 10 a.m. Eastern time. It will start at Wrigley Field and go all the way to Grant Park. It's really exciting. Here's a good thing. The children of Chicago public schools are out anyways. It was a teacher enrichment day. Very, very cool. So they'll be out. They'll be able to enjoy the festivities. Rumor is the Chicago River is going to be dyed cubby blue, something to watch for. And the mayor saying that this parade will be worth the 108-year wait. A whole lot of expectation for tomorrow. We'll have it live on MLB Network, as you said. We're excited.
Teacher enrichment day. Sounds like that came up just in time.
Very fishy, right?
So all the kids
said the
can
same
get out
thing.
there. No, great stuff. And Lauren mentioned it. We're going to have live coverage of the parade as we bring it back inside the Studio 3. Scott Braun is going to kick the festivities off here and then send everyone out to Chicago for the great parade. But that city, Eric, has got to be just to be turned upside down.
I got to believe, I mean, I have, Cubs fans. I'm sure you know plenty, Dan, that my cell phone's blowing up last night through the course of the entire game. And think about the anxiety and stress that some of them had to deal with once Rajai Davis hit that home run. I mean, 4 outs away from the World Series, and all of a sudden it was boom, boom, boom. It was like they were having a flashback of 2003. And yet, here they are, able to pull it out. It speaks a ton to me about the character of this team. The fact that during the rain delay, which that might have been the baseball gods just to say we are now at peace with you. But Jason Hayward, of all people, decides to call a team meeting, the guy who has struggled the most. But guess what? Jason Hayward, he showed up to the post every single day, never made excuses, went out there, played his rear off defensively, helped them out on the bases, did a lot of things to help that team. And when they were at their moment where it's like, we could, who thought? I heard Mad Dog say this day, who in America thought that the Cubs were going to win after they gave up that lead? And then sure enough, they come right back, Dan.
I think the game itself kind of mirrored the 108 years. The excitement and closeness of winning and then getting your heart ripped out. So I think almost the way they won is even better for this franchise than if it was Game 6 final outcome. Because I think it really tested their mettle again and again and again. And I think it says something about the relationship with this market and this fan base with this franchise. And I thought Theo said something really appropriate last night post-game when he said this championship is for every Cub fan and for every player who ever wore a Cubs uniform. And I thought that was really, really well done and well said. And I think it's, how many people probably had this on their bucket list? Oh, can I please cross this up my bucket list before I leave the face of this earth? And I think it tied generations of families together, which I think baseball does better than any sport.
Real quick, he also talked about the Ricketts family and how they run that organization like a family. Make that be a lesson to all organizations out there. You treat people like family, they treat you back like family. And it's good to see that get rewarded. It's good to see them. They flew in all the scouts, everyone for the beginning of the World Series. Everyone involved in the organization got to walk the field, and it's just it's awesome. Awesome for the city of Chicago.
Ricketts family bought the team in 2009, and Theo Epstein getting there in 2011. I mean, when Theo has any down moments he feels at any points in any days in the future, so you go to Chicago or Boston and say, guys, I'm here. I mean, this guy, he ends curses wherever he goes, huh? I mean, Theo Epstein now.
It's tough for me not to sit here and say, Dan, that at this point he's the greatest general manager who's ever lived. To break 2 extended curses like that, I would not argue.
Yeah, he's been blessed with great opportunities, and he has taken full advantage of them each time.
No, and the whole Cubs front office done a great job too. Jed Hoyer as well, and company. So congratulations to the Cubs. So many swings and momentum throughout all 10 innings of an instant Game 7 World Series classic. When we come back, John Paul Morosi takes us through the thrilling ups and downs from start to finish.
It's a brand brand new offseason on MLB Network with an all-star lineup, including baseball's only offseason TV morning show. We live baseball 24/7, 365 on MLB Network.
Nothing worth having comes easy. You have to get up every morning and put in the work.
Give him another.
Time, effort, commitment. These are your tools. You have to understand that there are no shortcuts here. Whether you're playing in the majors or making seriously good bourbon, you know the greatest achievements in life don't just happen. They're earned.
Constipated? Trust #1 doctor recommended Dulcolax. Use Dulcolax tablets for gentle overnight relief, suppositories for relief in minutes, and stool softeners for comfortable relief of hard stools. Dulcolax, designed for dependable relief.
Welcome to Stouffer's Fit Kitchen. Prime cuts of meat, 25 grams of protein, and savory mouth-watering sides. It's the perfect balance of delicious and nutritious, making it just the right fit for you. Stouffer's Fit Kitchen meals. This is fit.
It's your TV. Take it with you. With DirecTV and AT&T, watch all your live channels on your devices data-free. Switch to DirecTV and lock in your price for 2 years. Offers starting at $50 a month.
Golden Corral's 7-day shrimp extravaganza just raised the stakes. Every day at dinner, enjoy new Founder Sirloin and non-stop shrimp. Plus it up on the weekends with premium shrimp and new garlic herb buttered sirloin. It's non-stop shrimp and steak, all for one low price. Only at Golden Corral.
How's it going? Hi. Today we're going to be comparing the roll-formed high-strength steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck.
Awesome.
All right, let him drop. Let's see how the aluminum bed of this truck held up.
Oh, wow. That's a good-sized puncture.
That's all the way through, for sure.
Full-on crack here.
If you're aluminum now, you're gonna go, ooh. Let's check out the Silverado's steel bed.
Wow. Yeah, a couple dents.
I'd expect more dents.
Chevy clearly held up better than the Ford.
MLB Tonight, all throughout the offseason, only on MLB Network.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. Many people with Medicare may be able to get extra benefits and don't even know they're available. You may be able to get dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage included in your plan. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline to see if you can get the extra benefits you deserve. The Medicare Coverage Helpline is now accepting calls. You may be able to get extra benefits, including dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Buchwald. Making sure you go to the doctor and taking all your medications as prescribed can help protect your health. To make it easier, you may now be able to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that includes coverage for dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Help protect your health by choosing the right plan for you and get all the benefits you deserve.
Call to see if you may be able to get extra benefits, including dental, vision, and prescription coverage. Don't miss the annual election period deadline for Medicare Advantage. Call now. Call 800-951-0862. That's 800-951-0862.
Secrets, gossip, trade rumors. Harold Reynolds, Matt Vasgersian. The relentless pursuit of the truth in the offseason. Hot Stove, Monday morning at 9 on MLB Network.
It's visual that will never get old for the legions of Cubs fans who waited multiple generations to see their team record the final out of the season and still be standing. After 108 years, the Chicago drought is toast. John Paul Morosi takes us through the gripping roller coaster journey that was Game 7.
Well, those two words, when put together, are so sweet. Game 7.
Wednesday, November 2nd, 2016, dawned in Cleveland, Ohio with perfect weather for Game 7 of the World Series. Unseasonably warm, with highs reaching the 70s and the perfect amount of cloud cover. But there was one ominous detail in the forecast. Rain, expected to pass through the area around 11:30 p.m. local time. And so the decision was made to move up the first pitch to 8:02 p.m., a difference of only 6 minutes. But that was enough to help the Chicago Cubs author the final chapter in perhaps the greatest American sports story ever told. Because by the time the Progressive Field grounds crew pulled the tarp a few minutes before midnight, the Cubs' carefree 4-run mid-game lead had deteriorated through phenomena most commonly known as Cubby occurrences. The fifth inning was a microcosm of so many painful losses during the 107 years of suffering. The borderline pitch that led to a walk, the curious pitching change, the perfectly placed dribbler.
And a bad break for Chicago, good break for Cleveland.
The wild throw by a revered veteran catcher. The wild pitch on which 2 runs scored. An extraordinary lapse, even by the Cubs standards. Then came the 8th, the same inning that had vexed the Cubs on the verge of a pennant 13 years earlier. Here, it was an innocent-looking 2-out single and gap double against a weary closer before Rajai Davis, whom Terry Francona had in the Cleveland lineup for defensive reasons.
Now the pitch. Swung on, line to deep left field. It is gone!
Hit the latest game-tying home run in a World Series Game 7 in more than 50 years. In that moment, Cubs fans who lived the team's torment for generations were certain of what would happen next. But it was right around then that it began to rain. The teams played through a relatively quiet ninth before the umpires decided to halt play. And the 17-minute delay that followed changed the course of baseball history.
That was the greatest rain delay ever.
Their momentum gone and season on the brink, Cubs players gathered in the weight room inside the visiting clubhouse. There, they spoke. They listened to one another. And they cried. Shortstop Addison Russell, an emerging star at 22 years of age, said he was among those openly weeping. Jason Hayward, the high-priced free agent who'd been criticized during a disappointing season, was among the most outspoken. The players spoke of their identity as a team, their belief, the opportunity they still had before them. Fittingly, Kyle Schwarber was the man first tasked with bringing that ethos into the batter's box. And so in the 10th inning Wednesday night, he drilled a leadoff single into right field. Ben Zobrist put the Cubs ahead to stay. And from that moment forward, the Cubs looked like the Cubs again. Miguel Montero, the Cubs' third different catcher in Game 7, delivered what proved to be the title-clinching run.
Rizzo scores. Zobrist is held. 8-6 Chicago.
Mike Montgomery threw 2 pitches, both strikes, to record the first save of his major league career on a ground ball fielded by Chris Bryant, thrown to Anthony Rizzo.
And the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
An indelible moment, more than a century in the making, for which the Cubs can partially thank a rain shower that visited the shores of Lake Erie at precisely the right time. As the team's general manager, Jed Hoyer, would later say, there is no curse and there was no curse. The Cubs simply had to build the best team in baseball. And thanks to a reminder from the heavens, the Cubs and their fans have a triumph to cherish for all time.
Great stuff there from JP Morosi, just reliving all the drama from the Game 7 there. And teams to overcome here, a 3-1 deficit. The Cubbies are the first team to do it since I was a 17-year-old from St. Louis. Salty that the Royals were able to come back on my Cardinals and knock the Redbirds off. Pirates, Tigers, Yankees, and Pirates in 1925 also taking care of business. But we bring you back inside Studio 3, guys, with Dan and Eric, I'm Fran. And when I watch that, the part that hits me the most is the rain delay and how JP lays out. I mean, Addison Russell, Chapman, these guys were balling. And that rain delay gave them some time. Jason Hayward calls a little quick meeting to compose themselves. Hey, this game is not over, so get it together. Let's go out and take care of business.
And how about Miguel Montero?
Yeah.
And we haven't even mentioned David Ross's name yet, but Contreras had an RBI. All 3 catchers had a run driven in. Montero coming up with the biggest one at the end of the game. And let's not forget, the Indians scored to make it 8-7. So I said this last night on air, Dan. There's 2 players that I played with that with the game on the line. I played the most of my career with Oakland, right, in Arizona. The 2 players I would want up with the game on the line, number 1, Marco Scudero. Number 2, I told this to Robert Flores last night, Miguel Montero.
Right. Yeah, that was a huge hit. The big difference between a 2-run game and a 1-run game. But, Fran, getting back to the meeting, You know, I sense some fear in the Cubs, like, oh my gosh, we're about to give something away here that should be ours. And I think that meeting, first of all, the rain delay to me was bizarre. You know, a 17-minute rain delay, when you think about how much time it took to put the tarp on and take it off, it's a really short period of time. So I do think the baseball gods were shining down on them last night. But I think it allowed them to look past fear. I think fear paralyzes people in the game. And in moments like this, I think it's hard to overcome. And I think that meeting allowed them to take a step back and look at it from a different perspective.
You mentioned the Cubs and the damage that all three catchers did. 14 ribbies throughout the postseason for Ross, Montero, and also Contreras. So Cubs end up big winners. They're also big into analytics, so they're going to appreciate the best of StatCast from their postseason run. It's powered by Amazon Web Services.
Tying run at second, 2 out, top of the 9th inning.
Bouncer toward the middle, fielded by Baez. Running throw to Rizzo. He is out at first base, and the ball game is over.
And up the middle. Baez on the backhand, goes down to a knee, throws to first. Rizzo digs it out, got him.
Posey into the right field corner. Almora lays out and makes the catch. Throw back into first will double off Belt, and this one's headed to extra innings.
Here comes the 0-2. High drive into right, back at the wall, and he's gone! Grand slam, Montero, Game 1 hero. There goes Lindor, thrown out by Ross. Got him, and what a tackle!
Great throw by Ross.
2-0. High fly ball to left center, at the wall, grand slam! 7-0 Chicago.
Base hit fair all the way to the corner. Perez hustling to second, and Perez is out at second base.
Jason Hayward gets to this ball and then just throws a bullet. Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all.
Cubs are winners. The Indians will be left to wonder what is. They were up 3-1, but they couldn't pull it off. So we'll get to the Indians vibe in Cleveland coming up next.
StatCast is powered by Amazon Web Services.
Wouldn't you rather have a big DQ chicken strip basket instead of those little nuggets?
Wow, that's a big meal.
You got a big appetite.
Hey, I'm a big man.
You are big.
I'm big enough to lift this man.
You don't have to do that.
Yes, we do.
Go big with the DQ Chicken Strip Basket. Now just $4.99.
Shop Ashley Home Store's Black Friday mattress event for the greatest sale in history. For a limited time, get this mattress from Ashley Sleep or get 6 years no interest on Serta iComfort and Tempur-Pedic starting at just $24 a month. Plus add a power base for just $10 a month. Ashley Home Store. This is home.
Constipated? Trust #1 doctor-recommended Dulcolax. Use Dulcolax tablets for gentle overnight relief, suppositories for relief in minutes, and stool softeners for comfortable relief of hard stools. Dulcolax, designed for dependable relief.
Fit to take the mound.
Well, hello there. It's been a long, long time. How am I doing?
He's taking a big lead. He's playing with the pitch. He's playing.
Oh, I guess that I'm doing fine.
How fly. He's going for it. He's going for it. Whoa!
It's been so long
Come on,
now.
right down there. Come on. We got this.
But it seems now it was only yesterday.
Way back! Might be out of here!
Gee, ain't it funny how time slips away?
Holy cow! The Cubs win!
You might feel like there's too many problems in the world, or that, you as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old can't really make a difference.
It's not always about you. It's not just one person. It's a group. It's a team.
Just that simple act is transforming someone else's life.
It's one of the best feelings in the world.
It'll just make you feel so good about yourself.
I'd do anything to convince you just to be a part of this.
You only got one life.
Leslie Nielsen.
Is this an official bat?
Along with Priscilla Presley, Reggie Jackson, and a cast that'll have you laughing out of your seat. The Naked Gun, November 10th at 9 Eastern on MLB Network.
Mike Montgomery will try to get the final out and give the Cubs the World Series championship. Michael Martinez trying to save the Indians season. The pitch. Swung on a little dribbler toward third, charged by Bryant. Gloves, throws to first. The Cubs have won the World Series for the first time since 1908.
After an epic battle like that, great that you can have a winner in the Cubs. Tough, though, to have a loser in the Indians. So to get the word on the street here in Cleveland, let's welcome in Jim Rosenhaus, who is the Indians radio broadcaster. And Jim, we saw each other during the ALCS, and things were rolling high here for the Indians. But what's the fallout here one day later after that gripping Game 7 loss?
You know, Fran, it's interesting. I think if it had stayed 5-1, or at one point it was 6-3, and it looked like a fairly easy win for the Cubs on their way to a title, maybe it wouldn't hurt so bad today. But the way the Indians came back and then had some opportunities to try and pull ahead late in the game and perhaps win it before it got to extra innings, I think that's what makes it so tough to deal with. But I think to a man in that clubhouse after the game, most of the comments you heard from players and manager Terry Francona alike is they left it all out on the field. They squeezed everything they could out of this postseason, and the Cubs were simply the better team, and they pulled it out late.
We got a chance to see Danny Salazar in Game 6, and boy, was he electric. And it just got you thinking. I mean, if Salazar and Carlos Carrasco, if they could have been healthy, this could have been a different series. Can you quantify how much the Indians missed those two guys?
Well, you know, they went down in about mid-September, and they were able to get through the final portion of the regular season and nail down the division title. And I think the prevailing thought was if they could keep series to a minimum of games, then they might not feel it as much. And they sure did that early with the division series win over Boston, a sweep, and then just a 5-game series in the championship series against the Blue Jays. But once it started to pan out where this World Series was heading deeper and deeper, then you knew that their key pitchers, Tomlin first in Game 6 and then Kluber in Game 7, would be going on short rest. And in Kluber's case, trying to pitch 3 times in a World Series, which in this day and age is uncommon, and it may have caught up with them. And I think some of the stress put on the bullpen may have caught up with them as well last night, as nobody was as sharp as they had been in other portions of the postseason.
So looking ahead to 2017 here, obviously you're going to get Carrasco and Salazar back. And by the way, Michael Brantley, who finished third in the AL MVP voting a couple years ago, I mean, he missed most of the season, so he in theory should be healthy. Mike Napoli, a big free agent who potentially could come back. So things are still looking up here for the Indians, correct?
Absolutely, and their core group of players all under contract, especially the pitching staff, and you're right, they get the injured players back that you mentioned, and then the key will be, what do they do in terms of Napoli, and also Rajai Davis, who had a huge game last night and was a key throughout the season as a veteran presence. Do they try and bring both of them back, and can they bring both of them back? And then how do they supplement that good young core group of players like a Francisco Lindor, like a Jason Kipnis, and Carlos Santana? They picked up his option. So there's a lot to like here that's coming back, and I think this team is pointed toward contention next year. Certainly, they have to feel very good about that. And the front office had a great off-season and in-season this year, making the acquisitions that made this thing go. And look for them to do some tweaking again this off-season heading into spring training.
Yeah, congratulations to Chris Antonetti and Terry Francona and the entire staff for the Indians, who did a tremendous job in the postseason, and no doubt. Jim Rosenhaus joining us on MLB Tonight. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, more on the Indians and some of the potential potential head scratchers, including Michael Martinez in the game. Should he have been? We'll discuss over in Studio 42 next.
Every offseason move causes a chain reaction. As the deals roll out, rivals race to get stronger. However the pieces fall, MLB Tonight will cover every twist and every turn, all this offseason on MLB Network.
If time is a measure of how good something is, then Evan Williams Bourbon has something really good going. Seriously good. Since 1783, Evan Williams has proven one thing, that a good bourbon is a smooth bourbon. Many years and many barrels later, people are still reaching for the smoothness of Evan Williams. That means something, doesn't it? Evan Williams, seriously good bourbon. And for more of a good thing, try the smooth flavor of Evan Williams Honey.
Shop Ashley Home Store's Black Friday mattress event for the greatest sale in history. For a limited time, get this mattress from Ashley Sleep or get 6 years no interest on Serta Eye Comfort and Tempur-Pedic starting at just $24 a month. Plus add a power base for just $10 a month. Ashley Home Store. This is home.
You say insane, I say I train. You say freakish, I say frequent. Insane, I train. Freakish, frequent. Let's run the whole thing back. You say ridiculous, I say meticulous. You say incredible, I say inevitable. Ridiculous, meticulous. Incredible, inevitable. Let's run the whole thing back. Carbs to compete, electrolytes to replenish.
Hey, Evan. So, you're stuck at a work thing. With DirecTV and AT&T, you can stream all your favorite shows without using your data. That makes you more powerful than a table for 60.
Wednesdays are the new Thursdays.
Or the mandatory after party.
How early is too early to leave?
You're not going anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere.
It's your TV. Take it with you. Watch all your live DirecTV channels on AT&T data free.
With the blast motion sensor, I feel like that's the quickest way you can get information. That's the quickest way you can make adjustments. If the technology is there to help you, we gotta take it.
Forget everything you think you know. Discover a world of possibility with one blade from Philips Norelco, the blade for beards, and be your best you. One blade from Philips Norelco. See Marvel's Doctor Strange in theaters November 4th.
Hi, gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Spread sunshine all over the place. And put on a happy face.
The baseball action continues on MLB Network in the Arizona Fall League. See the next wave of Major League phenoms take the field for the annual Fall Stars game, featuring first-round draft picks, Saturday at 8 Eastern, live on MLB Network.
Don't let anyone say that it's just a game, for I've seen other teams and it's never the same.
What a start!
In Chicago, you're blessed.
Base hit! It's tagging!
The first time you walk into Wrigley Field, our heroes wear pinstripes.
Safe under the tag!
Give us the chance to feel like heroes too. Forever we'll win, and if we should lose, we know someday we'll go all the way. Yeah, someday we'll go all the way.
Home run, David Ross!
United we'll fall down to our knees.
Rajay Davis!
Here comes for that
Zobrist delivers!
Look to the sky
and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series. The Cubs have done it.
Yeah, someday we'll go all the way.
Bottles popping all over the place, and Eddie Vedder, longtime Cubs fan, with his great song All the Way in Sports Illustrated, laying it out. Anthony Rizzo on that final out, and Chris Bryant on his way over to give him a big hug as the Cubs, they take care of that drought since 1908. Over here in Studio 42 with Eric and Dan, I'm Fran. Now, obviously, it was an unbelievable game, but it was a flawed game as well, which we like, but there were a couple questionable moments. And let's go back first now, Eric, to what happened in the ninth inning when Michael Martinez comes in for Coco Crisp.
It was interesting, but it's understandable because Coco Crisp statistically, on paper, has one of the worst arms in Major League Baseball. So Terry Francona, in a situation in which he felt like that is the winning run right there, he needed to go ahead and make a switch. But let's not forget this. Coco Crisp has been money for the Cleveland Indians, not just in the World Series, in the playoffs down the stretch. Since they acquired him, he has come up with some ridiculous big hits. So one of my original thought processes when Michael Martinez was running out there was, wow, I wonder when Coco's spot is coming up in the lineup. Well, guess what? With 2 outs in the bottom of the 10th inning with the World Series on the line, Coco Crisp was sitting on the bench instead of being at the plate. The only way that World Series game could have been better, the only way, is if Coco Crisp walked them off. But unfortunately, he didn't get that chance.
Martinez hitless here in the postseason, 238 on the year for Michael Martinez. Let's go back now to the 5th inning. Chris Bryant scores on a base hit from Anthony Rizzo all the way from first.
Yeah, and that struck me when it happened. How did that actually take place? Well, first of all, great base running on Bryant's part as he was stealing on the play and got a great jump. But this is where little things lead to big results. I think Chisenhall thought this ball was smoked. Actually, it wasn't. He took a route to the ball conservatively. If he took the route I think he should have taken, he would have saved 26 feet in the process. That 26 feet, as you will see, for me, is the difference between him scoring or even being a close play and not a close play. Here comes Bryant. Great turn around second base. But this is where he ended up when Chisenhall caught the ball. This is where he would have been if Chisenhall took a different angle to the ball. That's about 3 steps. Those 3 steps, for me, are the difference between him scoring, probably a close play at the plate, but him being out. So, Bernsey, how would you have gone about making that proper angle to get that ball?
Well, let's understand this. That Chisenhall, in my opinion, from the get-go, his thought process was right. It was conservative, but it was right. So long as he was able to cut the ball off before the wall, I'm sure he's assuming to himself there's no way Bryant was going to be able to score. But let's remember, Bryant is one of the better base runners in all of Major League Baseball. And he got that jump, and you could see that if you're Chisenhall in front of you. So just like you said, Dan, if you're going to go ahead and roll the ball here, this is the conservative angle where he comes all the way around and then picks it up and goes. Now, if you want to back that up and do what Dan's talking about, and he makes a good point, I'm going to come in like this. Boom. Now, if he does take that angle, Dan, he's not going to make it. There's no way he would have scored.
Bryant hoofing it around the bases, by the way. StatCast showing us 20 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Chisenhall converted infielder out in the outfield. Another play that happened in the 4th inning, I think, caught the Indians by surprise as well. It was this short fly ball here from Addison Russell with Bryant again on third. And he tags up and he scores.
Great play by Bryant. It really was. And what you have to understand here is that Rajai Davis got caught flat-footed. Now, again, this is a communication issue. They had an issue with it the day before. When you're coming in and you're the center fielder, you have no choice but to completely take charge of everything that's going on. So you saw Coco Crisp, right? He was coming in, and Davis is coming in here. Now, 100% in the back of his mind, I know Rajai Davis was thinking about Coco Crisp. The other thing he was thinking is there's no way that Bryant was going to attack from third base because it was so shallow. Well, guess what? When you get caught in this situation right here, boom, and you're thinking, okay, Chris, let me just be real conservative here and catch it like that, he's flat-footed. He's not in position to release that ball. So you could go ahead and put a stopwatch on it, and it's going to take him, I don't know, let's say 1 to 2 seconds to release a ball, as opposed to if you're coming in and this thing's dropping out and you perfectly time it, you get it here and gone again. There's zero chance that Bryant
And there's no way they send him if he had fielded the ball properly.
You're right.
And obviously there were some issues too from the night before with Naquin and Chisenhall, and so they had outfield issues with the Cleveland Indians as well. All right, finally, Albert Almora here in the 10th inning, pinch runner, ends up tagging up from first, and this got a lot of praise on the broadcast, but some other people thought Almora actually ended up with the right result, but didn't necessarily do the right thing.
Well, the result's great, friend, but you have to understand, in a situation like that, that ball's hit, the last thing you want to do, the normal thing, the thing that they would teach in spring training for your guys to do in that situation, even with no outs, is, okay, here, because if he drops it, and that ball carries him, we saw the ball carrying last night, he's in this position here, he's going to be able to come around and score. But Almora took a huge, huge risk. Again, I'm not going to advise him to do it, but he did it, and it potentially helped the Cubs win the World Series. Just bam, getting in position and taking off to second. So a very risky play that rewarded the Cubs.
Well, it worked out. He was about halfway, and I think he saw Davis who had kind of drifted back, and so he thought Davis was there. Either it was going to be out or it was going to be caught. And so he sprinted back, and it ended up obviously working out in their favor. Great stuff all from Game 7 here of the 2016 World Series. And great stuff, too, not only at Wrigley Field, but inside the homes of some big-time Cubs fans as we listen in to Claire Moser here.
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
All year long, they've brought us their best. Now it's trophy time, and all the big awards are up for grabs. Who will win? Find out exclusively on MLB Network, starting Wednesday at 8 Eastern.
When you freeze something,
it's for later.
But how much later?
There's no way to be sure.
But Wendy's is sure that if you want a juicy, delicious hamburger right now, it should be made with fresh, never frozen beef, unlike some other guys. So that's what's in every single hamburger Wendy's serves, and the doubles and the triples. Because at Wendy's, fresh never gets old.
Constipated? Trust #1 doctor-recommended Dulcolax. Use Dulcolax tablets for gentle overnight relief, suppositories for relief in minutes, and stool softeners for comfortable relief of hard stools. Dulcolax, designed for dependable relief.
Welcome to Stouffer's Fit Kitchen. Prime cuts of meat, 25 grams of protein, and savory mouth-watering sides. It's the perfect balance of delicious and nutritious, making it just the right fit for you. Stouffer's Fit Kitchen meals. This is fit.
Forget everything you think you know. Discover a world of possibility with one blade from Philips Norelco, the blade for beards, and be your best you. One blade from Philips Norelco. See Marvel's Doctor Strange in theaters November 4th.
You might feel like there's too many problems in the world, or that, you as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old can't really make a difference.
It's not always about you. It's not just one person. It's a group. It's a team.
Just that simple act is transforming someone else's life.
It's one of the best feelings in the world.
It'll just make you feel so good about yourself.
I'd do anything to convince you just to be a part of this.
Golden Corral 7-Day Shrimp Extravaganza just raised the stakes. Every day at dinner, enjoy new Founder Sirloin and non-stop shrimp. Plus it up on the weekends with premium shrimp and new garlic herb buttered sirloin. It's non-stop shrimp and steak, all for one low price. Only at Golden Corral.
Hot Stove. Monday morning at 9 on MLB Network.
My Sundays are wide open, so I can watch DirecTV NFL Sunday Ticket. Check out all the great games this weekend.
Carson Wentz leads the Eagles against Eli Manning and the Giants. Antonio Brown and the Steelers face Joe Flacco and the Ravens. And Andrew Luck and the Colts take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Cowboys at Browns, Jets at Dolphins, Panthers at Rams. You get every game.
Call 1-800-GET-SPORTS and get NFL Sunday Ticket to watch games anywhere, live every Sunday.
Have you noticed a lot of auto insurance companies are saying the same thing? Switch to us and save a bunch of money. Great if you have a perfect driving record, but what if you don't? You still want a low rate? Well, right now at The General, you can get an anonymous online quote with low payments, choice of due date, and immediate proof of insurance with a digital ID card. Find out how low your monthly payments can be.
Get an anonymous online quote now.
For a great low rate you can get online, go to the General and save some time.
Just getting started.
It's a brand new offseason on MLB Network with an all-star lineup, including baseball's only offseason TV morning show. We live baseball 24/7, 365 on MLB Network.
Let's go! What a start! Dexter Fowler, hello in Game 7.
It's gone! A home run for Baez.
Zobrist, that's a base hit. Cubs will take the lead.
Little tapper to Bryant to win the World Series for the Chicago Cubs.
To celebrate the Cubs' first World Series in over a century, Topps now created this new Ben Zobrist World Series MVP baseball card. This exclusive card will only be available on Topps.com until 5 p.m. Eastern Friday. After that, it will never be available again. Got that? Ever. Never, ever. Ever. As we bring you back inside the Studio 3 with Dan and Eric. We're towards the end of the show. We haven't even talked about the World Series
We
MVP.
need like an all-day show.
It's unbelievable. Ben Zobrist, back-to-back World Series championships for him as well. And the Cubs and Theo Epstein and company, they look like geniuses for grabbing him in the offseason.
Yeah, again, I think he was the best bat available this offseason. I know it was 4 years and $56 million and some eyebrows raised, but I mean, look at the versatility he brings to their club. Now, let's take a look at what he did just a year ago when he was wearing a different uniform. This guy is such a professional hitter. You know, to me, Burnsy, when he got to the Royals, I think he was the missing piece. He replaced Gordon. When Gordon came back, he moved to second base. He's lethal from both sides of the plate. He hits really good pitching. He makes great in-bat adjustments. And, you know, he's one of these guys that I think when the pressure is the greatest, he has the ability to slow down and not do too much. That bunt against the Dodgers, that came at a perfect time because, if you recall, they were really struggling. And then in this World Series alone, he hit .303 last year during the playoffs. This year in the World Series, he hit .357, and obviously none bigger than that at bat. That was a 97-mile-an-hour backdoor cutter that, again, he didn't try to do too much with. And this guy, he was the perfect fit for this team. He plays the best when the best is needed. And again, he complemented the rest of this club exceptionally well. This guy's got a slow heartbeat, and it showed up again big time in this postseason.
Ben Zobrist, obviously World Series MVP, so one of the huge reasons why the Cubs are victorious. And Eric, I mean, this was the quietest secret in all of baseball, the way the Cubs were able to get Kyle Schwarber back on the field, and man, did he make a difference.
I'm still trying to digest how it happened.
I don't know how that happened.
I'm also still trying to digest how Ben Zobrist is turned into one of the top 5 players in all of baseball, Dan. It's unbelievable.
Top 5, wow.
Kai, I mean, at this point, coming off a World Series MVP, I got to give it to him. But how about my man, Meat and Potatoes? From somewhere in middle of America. Who knows where he's from, but it doesn't matter. I mean, this boy is corn-fed. I mean, look, unfortunately, though, right, as we were all getting excited after the tremendous postseason that Kyle Schwarber had last year, he blows out his knee in like 10 different ways, and he disappears for the year. And apparently, from what I heard, he was working on his swing through the course of the whole season. And Anthony Rizzo even said, like, hey, man, like, what are you doing? Thinking there's no way he would ever come back. And then there he was in the Arizona Fall League. And what does CO do? He does exactly what a good family member with a whole lot of cheese would do. He sends him the private bird, flies him out to Cleveland, and next thing you know, this guy is making an enormous impact in the World Series. Hits over 400. Has a base hit to get them going, boys, going in the 10th. That was it. Without Kyle Schwarber, without Ben Zobrist, Dan. It's so many little pieces, little great pieces that make champions. And the Cubs did that better than the Cleveland Indians. That's why they're world champions.
Anytime your name can be in the same sentence as Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth, the highest career postseason OPS, you're doing a good thing there. Troy Gloss as well. Schwarber, he was the one guy, Theo Epstein, wasn't afraid to say, hey, hands off. He's not going to be involved in any pieces. And I think the term you're looking for, Eric, and in terms of a Schwarber and, I mean, the way he's built, country strong. He's just country strong. Give him a bat and let him go do his thing. Time now for the MLB Memory Bank presented by Bank of America.
It's game 2 of the World Series. Chapman trying to close it out. And the 2-2. Swinging a bouncer to short. Throws him out. The Cubs win. Woo! Please welcome Eddie Vedder. Indians down to their last strike. Chapman brings it. Swing and a miss. And there will be a game 6. Go, Cubs, go! Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Cubs don't always lose.
Listen to those Cub fans inside this stadium tonight. Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Why not? The Cubs win the World Series!
That is the greatest thing I've ever experienced.
Every trip to the park can become a story for life, so tell us about the baseball moment you'll never forget. Share your favorite baseball memory with Bank of America using hashtag MLB Memory Bank. Well, the Cubs done it. Curse of the Billy Goat is toast. They pick up their 3rd World Series title and first in 108 years. Images from the 2016 postseason coming up next.
Welcome. Hi. Today we're going to be comparing the roll-formed high-strength steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck. We're going to grab that empty toolbox for me. Let's start here with the aluminum bed.
That's a big hole. Huge. We got Swiss cheese for a truck here. I'm curious to see if that will do the same thing with the Chevy.
Well, let's find out. Same spot, same angle, same empty toolbox.
Took it way better.
The steel held up.
Silverado proved it is the toughest truck here.
Constipated? Trust #1 doctor recommended Dulcolax. Use Dulcolax tablets for gentle overnight relief, suppositories for relief in minutes, and stool softeners for comfortable relief of hard stools. Dulcolax, designed for dependable relief.
Pitcher takes the mound.
Well, hello there. It's been a long, long time. How am I doing?
He's taking a big lead. He's playing with the pitch. He's playing.
Oh, I guess that I'm doing fine.
Out fly. He's going for it. He's going for it. Whoa!
It's been so long
Come on,
now.
right down there. Come on. We got this.
But it seems now it was only yesterday.
Way back! Might be out of here!
Gee, ain't it funny how time slips away?
Holy cow! The Cubs win!
It's your TV. Take it with you. With DirecTV and AT&T, watch all your live channels on your devices data-free. Switch to DirecTV and lock in your price for 2 years. Offers starting at $50 a month.
Hi, gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Spread sunshine all over the place. And put on a happy face. You only got one life.
The Italian strike!
Some news and notes to pass along here. Thad Levine named the Twins senior vice president and general manager. The Angels and Tigers, they work out a deal. Angels pick up Cameron Maybin, and the Tigers get in return minor league right-hander Victor Alcantara. Jay Bruce, Mets pick up his $13 million option for 2017. Thad Levine, a gentleman you know well, Dan.
Yeah, Thad worked for me. He's intellectually gifted. He's got a great feel for the game. But his relationship building skills, Bernsey and Fran, I'll go on to say, of all the young people that's ever worked for me, he has the best relationship building skills of anybody I've been around. Outstanding hire.
Heard nothing but great things about that. But just kind of closing this this show up and this past couple of days up, this has been incredible for our sport. And it's nice to see it actually take the forefront of American sports culture.
Yeah, no, two great historical teams, and the Cubs finally knock out the curse of the Billy Goat. They win the World Series. Here are the best images of the postseason. Enjoy.
This is what you play your whole life for right here. In situations like this, a crowd like this, and a place like this.
The legend of Madison Bumgarner in October just seems to get bigger.
Does this guy like the big stage or what?
Disappointing knowing that I didn't get the chance to contribute.
Yes, sir, the Blue Jays are going to Texas.
Didn't work out.
So much to choose from, so many defining moments.
This is what makes postseason baseball great. Moments like this.
It's always us against the world. Always us against the world. Cleveland against the world. Let's go!
Come on! That's barely humanly possible! Chicago Cubs are moving on to the National League Championship Series.
While we're in the city of monuments, something monumental happened.
Dave, would Kershaw be available for an out?
Absolutely not.
And they're going to their ace.
The Los Angeles Dodgers are headed to Chicago.
And this resilient bunch of Cleveland Indians will play for the American League pennant.
Tonight, when I walked into the mound, I realized that it was going to be, it was over. It kind of hit me a little bit.
It is the Cleveland Indians and the Toronto Blue Jays.
13 teams are home and wondering what happened. And for the Dodgers and the Cubs, wondering what could happen.
Oh, did he put a charge into that one?
The postseason's most dominant bullpen.
Baez tries to score. He does.
The stadium literally is shaking.
What a job by Clayton Kershaw tonight.
This just defines postseason baseball.
Hey, TV's got saved.
It is dripping blood.
Drip, drip, drip.
This is what happens in October.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
The Chicago Cubs take a 3-2 lead back to Wrigley Field.
And the Cleveland Indians are a win away from the World Series.
Without experience in our lineup, I'm pretty sure he's going to be shaking in his boots more than we are.
What a performance by Ryan Merritt.
And Cleveland, for the 6th time ever, you will have a World Series.
Everybody's talking about history. Is tonight going to be history? Who drops the ball?
It's gone!
The Cubs are going to the World Series.
I'm sleeping with this thing tonight. Are you kidding me? We're going to the World Series.
Fans are standing. Game 1 of the World Series ready to get underway.
Welcome back, Kyle Schwarber. Corey Kluber, the stoic one. Wow, what a game for Perez. Indians win game 1. Jake Arrieta, some kind of a World Series debut.
The Cubs evened up this World Series at 1 victory apiece.
I am the truth, ay, I am the wisdom of the fallen, I'm the youth, ay, I am the greatest, ay, this is the proof, ay, I work hard, pray hard, pay dues, ay,
3 games to 1.
Pressure, I'm hands-on with effort, I failed twice.
There will be a game 6.
Cubs are forced to game 7.
In this classic series, 176 years of combined frustration ends for one side.
I'm emotional. I hear you.
It's gone!
I'm an emotional wreck.
Another run!
Can you believe it?
Oh my! It's gone! Santa Maria!
This classic World Series can't end in 9 innings.
Nah.
Don't give up. I won't give up. Don't give up. No.
It's a base hit. Cubs will take the lead. Miguel Montero comes through.
Tapper to Bryant to win the World Series for the Chicago Cubs.
The longest drought in the history of American sports is over, and the celebration begins.